And we are live.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah,
It feels like we haven't seen each other in about a week.
at least
That's the best dad joke I got this early in the morning.
this early in the morning. Yeah. Oh, we'll warm up.
Hopefully. It's not
Yeah.
that bad anymore here. It's not negative temperatures outside at least.
Oh man, this week has been much nicer. Although our yard is still like permafrost. Like it's gonna take it a while to finally clear up.
Guess that's another dad thing to do is talk about the weather first.
Uh-huh.
Man, we're getting
Yeah.
old, aren't we?
My achy joints.
All right. So today, we were going to go over excuse me, the topic of school in the winter.
Yeah.
So how is that different than school in the summer? Is it it's
Well,
colder?
my joints are more achy. So there's that. No, yeah, I mean it's absolutely a challenge, especially we don't have the benefit of a playground in the backyard like a public school where it's just one giant acres wide tract of land filled with playground equipment and all the other kids, and you can get out there all the time during the regular school year, and then in the winter they have a big gymnasium that they can go in and still get all the energy out, do all their other big activities and stuff. So yeah, we're here in the house. What do you do? How do you keep them entertained and get into great educational opportunities? Doesn't mean that it's not doable. It's absolutely doable, but you got to have a little different strategy. You got to change things up, and it doesn't even mean that everything has to be still in your house. There's absolutely things that you can chase down and get to. If you're resourceful, think outside the box a little bit, you can come up with all sorts of interesting stuff.
Wait, Jimmy, you're telling me that you are not on a farm or a commune with 12 kids doing all the chores and milking the cows? Like you guys actually
No,
are in a house for
I've
homeschool?
got an amazing HOA and everything in our little community and living on the main through street of our neighborhood. So we don't get to play in the front yard because it's a very busy road.
I grew up like that. We
Yeah.
couldn't play. I mean, we could play in the front yard. This is kind of man. This is gonna go off the deep end. We grew up on a street where people go like 40 or 50 down the straightaway past our house, and like parents didn't let us play in the street because of that. Like I was that kid who had the invisible fence line at the grass, and I couldn't go past.
Hmm.
It was so bad, in fact, that on one of my first dates with my wife, she wanted to go ride bikes out
You had
in
to ask
this.
permission to leave your yard.
No, not that bad. It felt like that, but we were in the park and we left the designated bike trails and we're on the subdivision streets. And I was looking over my shoulder, like expecting my parents to yell at me. It was kind of odd, and I was like in my teens.
And I say that thought just gets planted in the back of your brain. And oh yeah,
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, I'm grateful my parents valued my life enough not to have me die. That was positive, but
that's
gives me
important.
warm fuzzies.
Uh-huh.
So, you guys play outside every now and then, and you do all your school inside, or how do you guys do that in the winter?
Yeah, in the winter, I mean, we do our best to try to find some interesting things that we can get to from time to time, especially around the holidays. There's a lot of interesting live streams that you can get into. We love seeing the Nutcracker Ballet every year during the holidays. We when we lived in Colorado, we used to go to the Denver Ballet every year to go see the Nutcracker. They still have somehow my wife's on a certain email list that as a homeschool family, we can log in and catch the live stream for free. We don't have to pay extra. And it's got a little extra sentimental fun to it since it's the same production that we enjoyed when we lived out there. So getting to see that. But there's lots of other opportunities for things like that that you can find online. If you just dig around a little bit, find some things you can get into. Um, Getting into it's nice being in St. Louis, where we've got the Science Center
Hmm.
is free. to get into. You just got to get a place to park. But once
Yep.
you're at the door, you can just go in and start wandering around. Same for the zoo
Mhm.
in St. Louis. Find a place to park, you can get in and just start wandering around. Now, of course, it's cold, but there are things that you can go and you can do if you're resourceful. But we also still have our co-op and other specific um, community activities that we've built into our regular routine to where we're out of the house most days of the week. So we've got our co-op on Tuesdays. Girls go to a Bible study together on Wednesdays. And another Bible study that's later. They have dance class that they are a part of. That's kind of their main extracurriculars. They both do dance. It's just about chasing down your resources, knowing what feeds your kids' interests. Because one of them might be into dance, and one of them might be into doing something else, building Lego or more STEM type things. Find what feeds your kids' interest and desire. Chase after that.
Hmm. Yeah, and we also have what is it, the Magic Houses in St. Louis? We have one of
Yeah,
those.
not a free one,
Not a
but
free one.
cool.
I
And
think
anyone who
parking's
grew
free.
up around, oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, anyone who grew up around St. Louis like has a specific memory of going to Magic House. I didn't, and I hear about it all the time. Especially like we lived here for probably 3 or 4 years before I actually went for the first time. I don't know how many times it'd be just the most random conversation with someone like, "You've never been to the Magic House?" I'm like, "Oh, no,
I don't think
sorry,
I was
I
either.
hate to
I don't
offend
think
you."
growing up I went to the Magic House at all. And I thought I remember.
No, okay.
There was a place, I mean, it's not even close to the same thing. When we went to the Science Center, obviously, I was in summer
McDonald's
camps.
Playland.
No, you ever heard of Tumble Drum?
No.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. It's long gone. But it was a massive like kids playground indoor bounce thingy. And now they have all those bounce, I don't know, the Sky Zone, I don't know what they're called. But
Yeah.
the trampoline parks and the
Trampoline
lawsuits
park.
waiting to happen.
Well, I think so. Growing up in Springfield, we had Discovery Zone. Did you ever have
We had that.
Discovery Zone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are great. You can just the big padded rooms and tunnels, and you roll around and break things like
That's what a
body
tumble drum
parts.
was.
And I think that's why Discovery Zone's not, I don't know whatever happened to them, but they're not around anymore.
Yeah. It's like let's get a warehouse, fill it with a bunch of padded playground equipment, and let the kids just go
And
nuts.
shake in a bunch of children
Yeah.
and stir it all up. Yeah.
We never
Yeah.
signed anything when we took our kids when we went there as kids. At least, I mean,
I
maybe
mean,
I was
as a
naive
kid,
enough, but
as a kid, I didn't sign anything. I
yeah,
don't know
well,
if my
that's true.
parents
Maybe,
did.
maybe my parents signed all sorts of stuff and we just didn't know.
Well, it's the same thing. They throw us in the back of the church van with no seat belts and the old guy that maybe shouldn't be driving, but then they take us to Discovery Zone for like the children's ministry outing. And we'd be rolling around and throwing things at the driver and then go throw things at each other in the ball pit. And it was a great old time.
So we can't talk about things we can't do in the winter, can we? So you can't do like things out to like amusement parks, Six Flags. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And I just went across the state of Missouri to the Great Wolf Lodge. I was in Kansas City. I mean, they have those all over the country, I think. But it's an indoor water park. It has is a Magic Quest inside. You can get a wand and go around to different things and wave your wand. And I actually became a master magi, believe it or not. I was well, I mean, I had to prove it to others, which is unfortunate that they required that of me. But yeah, it was a fun time. My kids loved it.
Fulfill your quest.
Yeah, we went with some other co-op families, so we had a lot of kids with us and some good friends and good time. 2 or 3 days there we spent. It was good.
I mean, a couple of the other things that our girls are really into, and they do this one year round, but we end up kind of saving up a few of them for this time of year. But there is an online, it's art and science kind of together called Our Journey Westward. A woman named Cindy West who puts together, it's kind of, I think it's bi-weekly, every couple weeks. It might only be once a month. I'm not sure. But she puts together some sort of natural science or history lesson talking about an animal or a plant or a historic or geographic location somewhere. And it's a live stream that you can replay later if you're not able to jump on the live stream. But she goes through all of her really engaging conversation that she has with whatever kids are on there. But at the same time, you're supposed to have out your watercolor paper and your paints or your colored pencils or whatever the medium is, and so it's the sort of thing where getting your kids involved in the tactile sense, they're doing something while they're learning and listening and observing, and if you're on the live stream, having some conversation back and forth, which can be part of that challenge as a homeschool family, and it's not just mom and dad all the time, or just whichever parent is plugged in at the moment, bringing in those additional voices, kind of someone that spent a little more time studying a certain thing. I don't have the time to study every single subject, so we like to bring in some extra things like that. We also have an art curriculum that we subscribed to, that they do online, and girls.
What's that called?
The moment I started, words were coming out of my mouth, and it's immediately left my head. I cannot remember what the art curriculum is called.
Art Online.
Yeah, go to artonline.edu. No.
Dad School Podcast does not support or promote anything on that website. We have no idea what's on there. Don't go there.
If I can get it to pop up in my head before we log out, I'll bring it up. But yeah, art and science is something that our kids are interested in, so we try to feed that. It's what are they interested? Let's feed the thing that they're interested in.
Do you have one? Sorry.
No,
do you have one that's like more artsy than the other, and the other one kind of follows, or are they both equally art oriented?
Well, since there's a several years age gap, there is a difference in ability to start with, just one of them being a teenager and one of them much younger. So sometimes we always have them doing the same lesson. Whichever is up, we have an iPad. They don't each have their own, so they're doing the same lesson. And there have been some times where the project that gets picked is a little more advanced, and our younger one might get a little frustrated or just feel like she can't keep up or something. But what's awesome is over the last handful of months, I'd say even the last just 6 months, as they've been doing those, she's been pushing herself to try to keep up. And then just those fun, these are the moments you love as a dad, when they run into the room and show you, like, look what I did this time. And you're like, no, that one's not yours. That's got to be the other siblings. And
trash.
Like, no. Yeah. Yeah. No, like those are the times you get proud. And especially, like, I have no artistic ability. Like, it's stick figures and whatnot. I always loved art class. Like, I enjoyed doing something creative, but mine never won any ribbons in the art show or anything. So I don't trust myself to give good content if it comes to art.
So we start a podcast instead.
So we started a podcast but yeah, finding those places that you can get someone that can provide something of quality. And yeah, we ended up choosing an online resource for that one.
Do you ever do the lessons like alongside them with the art, and like they make fun of your drawings? Or
I have a couple times we've done family paint night where we all get a little bit larger than postcard size pieces of watercolor paper, and then we all just have all the watercolors out, and we'll all paint. So our co-op every year does a market day. We're supposed to bring something to try to sell. Everyone brings a few dollars, and you go around, and a handful of kids will bake something, some cookies or brownies, and so those always go over well because everyone likes food. Another kid will bring like all of his old broken Hot Wheels or something and try to sell them for $5 each.
It's always that kid
throws a fit that no one wanted to buy his old broken toys. But we've a handful of years, like we've made little, like it's usually in the fall that they have their market day. So we'll make little either fall themed or Christmas themed little pieces of artwork. But we'll just sit in our schoolroom and everyone will paint all night. We'll turn on some music. And so, yeah, I've hopped in a few times. Mine are usually painting pictures of mountains because that's all that exists in my head is, yeah, like mountain landscapes. Like, don't ask me to make a cool picture of people doing something. It's nope. I can make a triangle go this way and a different color triangle over here, and then a round thing that's a sun, and then a weird twiggy thing. It kind of
Happy
looks like a
trees,
tree.
happy
Yeah,
trees.
I get all into the happy trees.
Draw a person, happy trees, happy
Yeah.
trees.
But we love those. Our girls now the last handful of years, every year when it's starting to get close to fall or winter, they're like, when do we have another family paint night? They get excited. Like it's turned into a tradition for us.
You know what you should do? You should mix it up a bit, and you should get probably a lot of plastic. Like, I don't know if you know where Home Depot is, if you've been there recently.
I
Uh,
have. I have
but
recently, and we've started a project. We won't get into that.
So they have a section there for painting. I don't know if you know anything about painting on things, but you can lay down plastic and then hand your kids a bucket of paint, and all you guys have identical matching like onesie white suits, and it's like family paint night.
I like your version of family paint night. That's different than ours.
Yeah,
That sounds productive.
and then you like splat yourself against a wall that has paper on it, and then you take that to the homeschool selling thing next year and see what people say. Like have life size portraits of you guys splattered against the wall.
I'm sure those will bring top dollar.
At least $2.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and that even makes me think of something that has been a really cool experience for our oldest over the last, I'd say probably about a year, through this market experience, trying to think of something that she's been doing it for several years. And each year we start having more conversations around, I come from a retail background and I have a retail brain. And so trying to think of, okay, knowing what the customer is going to want, present it in a way that's going to entice them, price it just right to where they'll want to part with their dollars. Basically, it's like trying to gain their vote. They can spend their dollars multiple places. You want them to choose you of where to spend your dollars. So ended up having all these kinds of fun conversations with our oldest, starting to prepare for these market days. And a couple years ago, she landed on making little bracelets. And she makes all these really cool designs. She's gotten incredibly creative. And one of the couple of the first ones that she was doing, I don't know if you've seen these kinds of artwork or ideas where it's you take a Bible verse and it's just the first letter of each word in a verse, and it's just a kind of a mnemonic device of helping you remember a memory verse. And people have been turning them into bracelets or necklaces or something, and it's just a piece of jewelry that you can wear to help you remember a Bible verse. So the first handful of her ones were that kind of idea. But then she just started putting ones that would say, I don't know, like proud mama or just other fun things.
YOLO.
Yeah, right, exactly. But she come up with these really awesome designs. Like she's got tons of colors, all the letters and everything, and she puts them in really neat things. She's been selling them at these market days. She set up a table when we had a yard sale this last fall. We had all of our junk in the garage, but over where the cash box was, she had her little IKEA table that we brought up from the basement. And she had all of her bracelets that she had made. And we had a conversation leading up to, okay, let's think about how we can meet the demands of a customer and try to be enticing to them. What's something that people in our neighborhood, we'll have some of our faith-based ones out there. I think that's great. You can even have some of your mom ones out there. Those are great. But what's something else that people might really get into? Oh, well, let's make St. Louis Blues colors and do something Blues. Let's do some Cardinals. Let's do some Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm.
Let's throw all that on the table. Those sold so fast. Like they just all flew out the door. Because she was able to find something that, oh yeah, this is something that my customers are going to like. This is something that's going to catch someone's eye and they'll be willing to part with their money. And I could use some of that money. So I'll do what I can to pry that out of your hands. And it's been super fun watching her just sit in her room for hours making these bracelets. She was just telling us the other day, she's like, I think I actually want to try to start an Etsy shop.
Ooh.
So we're exploring that as a maybe possibility down the road. But what's been cool, and this does tie back into a little bit of even our wintertime fun. She's been working really hard, saving all of her sales money, other than like she helps buy the supplies when she's running low on beads. Like this is part of being an entrepreneur. If you're going to have supplies, you got to figure out, what's your cost, how to get them as cheaply as possible. She's been helping buy the supplies, but then she's been saving everything else that she can. And over Thanksgiving break, she knew that this is what she wanted to save up for, and it was her goal. She put this as her goal. She had her little Ziploc baggie that she was just stuffing her dollars into, labeled foosball table. And for months, every extra dollar that she could, she was shoving money in there, saving up for a foosball table. And finally, over Thanksgiving break, when they were having all the big Black Friday sales around town, me and her grandpa ended up finding a foosball table. We brought it home and put it together, and she got to buy her foosball table that she worked really, really hard to use her creativity, use her ability to connect with customers, find what they would want. And then, we got to have some really great conversations around delayed gratification and the benefit of, the fruits of your labor and enjoying the outcomes of putting in the hard work and having a goal, working towards your goal. And in a way that, this isn't sitting down and doing spelling or handwriting or the things that oftentimes you think of school, but this is an educational moment. This is an educational time where kids are embracing the things that are going to impact them for the rest of their life. The lessons that they're capturing now is flavoring what's going to be their approach for the rest of their life, how they're going to move forward and things. And it's been such an awesome experience to jump into something like this with her, to spark an entrepreneurial interest. She might not go into business or retail or anything like that, have a years-long retail background like I did, but understanding working hard and saving and not just frivolously throwing dollars at things. It's been cool. It's been a lot of fun. And now, being winter, we're downstairs almost every night playing foosball. Like we were down there again last night. Their mom was at work, and it was just me and the two girls, and we were downstairs for like an hour playing foosball. I am displeased to announce that last night they beat me 2 out of 3 for the first time. Like legit, I was playing my best. I thought I was getting better also. And the short one, the young one, she hits the ball harder than anybody. Like when she sails one across the field, how do your little hands get that stick moving as fast as it does? But it's fun. That's been a super cool thing. It's turned into a great family experience, spending extra time together. And I get to just pull her aside and say, hey, this is because of the hard work you did. And thank you. It's fun seeing her get proud of her accomplishment.
So I know you and how you have a spirit of making new things, putting yourself out there, entrepreneurship. How do you rein that in with your kid so you don't overshadow them or, I guess, become a hovering dad doing all the work for them? Like what's your,
Ooh.
do you even try to do you have that problem? Maybe it's just me that has that problem, but.
Oh gosh. That's a lesson I learned the hard way a long time ago when I was in retail management. The first thing I did as a manager, I was running a Starbucks out in Colorado. Um, Beautiful spot. I had my patio. The mountains are right there. It was a really cool little shop without the drive-through, so it was a lot simpler days than the drive-through locations. But I came into it running my first little business as a, if it's going to get done right, I have to do it myself. And it was just a burden I put on my own shoulders. And man, I was running myself ragged trying to have the best location that I could. And we ended up having a great location, but I was doing everything. And finally, one of my bosses pulls me aside and he goes, you know, I'm going to challenge you to figure out a way to spend extra time releasing things off of your own plate, the inventory, the ordering, all the training, empower other people, spend several days training someone else to do that, to take it off of your plate. And then it's going to free up all of your other time to be able to be an expert or better in these other areas. And that's what ended up happening. I was like, okay, someone else is going to do all of my training for me. So when we have a new hire, they're going to help with all the training. Someone else is going to take over all the orders. And then I got to see, wow, the business ended up exploding. And then our store started churning out new leaders where they were going off and becoming managers in other stores. Like, it was a really cool thing. So I've tried to take that sort of mentality of, I can't be the do everything, hover over the scenario in order to get things done. There has to be that opportunity of the possibility of failure. Gosh, that's something that we strip away so much the last generation or two, where everyone gets a trophy sort of mentality is a thing. And so we strip away opportunities of encountering failure, which then strips away opportunities for character development, learning how to lick your wounds, learn from your mistake, and pick yourself up and move on, and try to not make that same mistake. Try to not do that. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yep.
So I feel
So
like
you
there's a
don't
lot of insanity these days.
you don't like protect your. I mean, I guess it's a broad question, but when your kids come into a failure point and you see it coming, are you the type of dad that will sit back and grab a Coke and cross his arms and be like, "Won't do that again, will you?" Or are you the kind of person that's like, "No, no, no, don't hurt yourself."
I try to not be the snarky comment that that's probably my default setting. When they were younger and smaller, I know I was definitely the more coddling, like, oh, it's okay, probably more than I should have. I try to find myself a middle balance. Like, I want you to be safe, and I don't want you to break limbs or death. Those are bad. So we're gonna try to
can't
avoid
break
those.
death.
Yeah. So we're gonna try to avoid those situations. But yeah, I mean, that's something that I even need to challenge myself, is opening up those opportunities for them to be challenged and pushed and stretch their limits. And when we're in those situations, I think we do okay, but we could help broaden their horizons even further.
Do you ever set up like mock Kobayashi Maru type
Uh,
situations where they can't win no matter what they do, and you just like see how they react?
well, every time I set one up, and then I want to test it to see if it's passable, I always defeat them all. So I haven't found one yet.
That good, huh? Wow. Huh. I guess I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
You'll have to make one for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come up with something. Hopefully, this podcast is not it.
So far, I think we're all right.
Yep. Let's see. I think
Have your
we
kids ever tackled anything entrepreneurial? They have.
yeah, yes. My girls have. There is a shoot. This is this time of the segment where I'm going to say the wrong thing once again, like every time actually. There is some type of program, some type of group that does a I guess it's a young business type event, and I want to say my girls did it this year. I'm not sure if they did it last year or not, but they make chocolate covered Oreos in our kitchen, and they package them up and they sell them in like ones or threes or whatever they come up with. And my wife
Mhm.
helps them with the numbers and figures. I mean, they like the idea of making the things with their hands. They like the idea of making money, obviously. So it's
Yeah.
really honing that in so they uh, understand the why behind what you do things. You know,
Hmm.
why do you need to plan out your ingredients, and why do you need to figure out how many you need to make, and just not say I'm going to sell 100 and make all this money because that's what it looks like. But there's actually costs up front that mom and dad will put up for you because you are kids and have no money. So we flip that bill and then they pay us back. Uh,
Yeah.
I would have liked to implement like a 40% household tax on them just to teach him about life. But I feel like I didn't bring that up because I think they would have been too harsh. And there's the standard dad tax, which is like what's it up to nowadays? 8.6% or something. I don't know. Higher than that? Okay, like 10%. So they did that event. I can't remember when it was. It was like November, December. But all I know is they made cookies forever. And there was a evening that they were up late, like 10, 11 or later, and they were, I'm not gonna say crying, but they were not happy with how much work
Cranky.
was
They
in.
were
Let's say
cranky.
cranky. That's a good word.
Cranky.
I don't know if there was. I mean, the salt probably added to the flavor of the cookies, but I'm not sure. Um, they were definitely not like dancing around in sunshine and tulips. And at that moment I was like, yeah, this is what works like, girls, you get this now, we got this. And then that early morning they get up and drive all the way out to this place, and my wife took them. They had nice little display settings. My wife's good at helping decorations, and obviously if I had it, it would have been like a paper plate with all these
All
cookies on it.
Your Star Wars friends would be coming with
Well,
you.
no, that's extra. You can't move those. Those are
Okay. Yeah.
classics.
Yeah.
Um, it was like a paper plate on the table, and that's about it. But they had a nice little setup, and it was good. But they ended up making money. It was funny because I have twin girls, and it was just Carly's cookies. That was all it was. I was like, what about the other one? And they're like, she helped. It's like, okay. I had a problem with that, but I didn't push it too far.
Uh-huh.
But in the end, they did raise a lot. They raised money they wanted, and one of my girls was able to purchase a VR headset, actually. So she's been saving up for that, and it wasn't all from the proceeds of the cookies. Like they didn't sell like a lot of cookies in that regard, but she had some money saved up, and she's been working on it for a while. And they had a VR headset they were sharing, and it wasn't really sharing very well.
Uh,
So one of them wanted to buy their own, and they did. So now we have multiple VR headsets now, but they have their own, and it's good to have something that you worked for, like your story. Now our family doesn't all gather in the basement and play VR together, though. Every one of my kids would probably love that.
yeah.
Um, I wouldn't mind it every now and then, but I'm sure there's other things we can do, and there are other things we do. I'll preface that we have gotten into some like exploding kittens card games. That's pretty fun.
They're our favorite brand of game developer.
Yeah.
Like we play a lot of their games. I don't, it just so happens that most of them. So Exploding Kittens, Happy Salmon, Poetry for the Neanderthals. Those have all become
No,
favorites.
we haven't played that one yet.
Oh, it's good. You get to hit each other with a big inflatable stick.
We have this foam sword game. I don't know if I think it's from the same people. So they've played that. I haven't played that one officially yet. Um, but yeah, we we tried this game. Okay, funny story. There's this game that my wife got. I don't know who got it for. I think my sister or my parents for Christmas or birthday. And it's in a pickle is the name of it.
Hmm.
And it's all about putting things in other things or what fits in other things. So, for example, you you're trying to put something in something else. So, if I have a a book, right? And I have a card that tells me uh maybe the word balloon. It's just balloon is all it says. I'll be like, I have to say a story that kind of puts that in this other object. So there's a balloon in the pages of this book, something like that. Or you have a box, and it's like the book is in the box. So you gotta like fit things in, like you have to make it make sense, but you can't explain it more than just saying in a. It's in a box. It's in this. So you can't like say elaborate story of oh it did this 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 and now it's there. Yes, you can't explain it like that. It's really weird. I'm probably doing a terrible job explaining it, but our family
Well,
cannot
now
play
I'm
that game.
craving pickles. So,
Yeah. Our family cannot play that game because every time we have, it's come to fights almost.
oh
Like
no.
we're arguing. It's like be creative, but we're trying to be too creative. And then some people like more rules, some people like less rules, some people just want to be silly. So it's really hard.
So you're not setting the best example for this one.
I I should
Yeah,
more, but I don't. No.
that's what family game night is about. Ex-
Yeah.
Expanding your boundaries, learning to communicate.
It used to be Monopoly was our game. Well, okay, not only game, but we play Monopoly sometimes, and that one was guaranteed someone's gonna cry. It's like you can't get
That's
away from
what
it.
that game is made for.
Yeah, it's like I
Yeah.
have all my buildings now. Why do I gotta pay all this taxes? Or I landed
I
on
was gonna,
this and I have no money anymore. It's like that's the game.
it's such an educational opportunity. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we try. But yeah, coming back around. She was able to be successful in her uh, entrepreneurial endeavors. Speaking of that, though, there is something else. My wife reminded me of something. It's a BizTown that our co-op went to, and I believe public schools do it as well. It's a mock business like community inside of a building. So you have like little storefronts, you have a bank, you have different positions in these mocked up, and these are like banks will go in there and support this, and the companies will be in there. I think it was like I could be
Like
wrong on this. It could be like
sponsors thing.
US Bank or whatever would have a rep in there. I believe I could be wrong on that, but don't kill me if I am. But my kids had different positions like bank teller or manager, or someone was like cashier someplace else. And all these students would show up that day and they go through a little mock, this is life. Yay, you're working. Yay, this is what you do. Kind of explaining that kind of stuff to them.
Yeah. Those are great. Like I'm very much of the school of mind that uh, having actual interactive things, building your learning based off of experience. Having an experience is one of the best ways of learning, and especially with kids, you can only get so far with reading a book about an idea, and then you move on to the next thing. I could try to have them read some books, read some Tuttle Twins or something about free market economy, that sort of stuff. It's a great resource, but going to a place like that, and then they actually have to learn like, oh, well, I have to actually like convince someone, entice them, and get them to come here as a customer instead of going over there. Like, yeah, it's those real world experiences. How do you introduce those? That's a challenge for homeschool. Those can be
Mm-hmm.
hard to come across. So even like you're saying, family game night, like you force opportunity for learning skills of communication that
Yeah.
so my degree, I haven't talked about this with you maybe yet even. So I hold a degree in recreation
Oh, I
of
knew
all.
this. I
Yeah,
knew it.
yeah.
I
So that's
learned
what
this the day we met at Teach 'em Diligently, and I was
that's
like,
okay.
"How do you get
Yeah,
a degree in recreation?" So go
recreation.
ahead and tell us that, Jimmy. How do you get a
No, but
degree in
that's so the
yeah.
idea is that play is such a formative opportunity that, from my perspective, it doesn't have to be something you grow out of. I like to play. But as a kid, the playground, games, and that sort of stuff, that's where you start forming your abilities of problem solving, interpersonal communication, crisis management, all that sort of stuff. You can get into some pretty high up terms. But that's where that starts for a kid, is in the playground, in the game room, or wherever. You learn strategy, you learn how to cooperate, or you learn how to suck it up and and move on when you're the loser, and that's the hardest lesson sometimes.
Was
But
that a
yeah,
class you actually had? How to lose in games?
oh, that's a good one though. I did have Intro to Leisure. Um, was a class. Yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of jealous. Like,
We did a lot of hiking and camping. That was my main background was outdoor education, experiential education, and that sort of stuff. Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Do you use
I miss
that
it.
on a daily basis in your homeschooling?
Um, the concept of learning through experience. Yeah, yeah. Trying to actually leverage that's where so much happens. The more of your body you get involved in whatever you're doing, the deeper the memory and the lesson is going to sink in. If there's some soreness the day after, all the better. You know, you wake up the next day and you remember, oh yeah, it's because we were doing such and such, and this is what we focused on. Like all that just starts to layer in on top of itself.
Is that why all my days at work sitting here in my office just kind of blur together because I don't hurt the next day?
Yeah, yeah. You need to start doing some just drop and do some push ups in the middle of the day.
Not gonna happen.
No.
No, I'll drop to the ground. I will get back up.
I'll drop to the floor for that donut I dropped.
Oh, donuts sound good.
It does sound good.
Let's see.
Oh, hey, creating a masterpiece.
Creating a
That's the art
masterpiece.
class. That's the online art class. I told you it would I'd finally get there. I got there.
Nice. Yeah. See, yeah,
Yeah.
is that the delay we should expect and go into our older age?
Well,
Actually, I'm older. I'm older than you, aren't I?
still on cup number one, so it's taking a while.
I
Yeah.
have not. I'm on water right now. I'm not on coffee. That coffee comes after this, so maybe I should start coffee earlier. Well, into the news lately. Yesterday, I think, or the day before. I think it was yesterday. Or the day before. One of the two. I heard that there is an education reform that's currently coming down the pipeline from our great nation's capital that would put educational decisions back into the state and not directed by the federal government. So
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up because we are not in public school, um, but these type of things had the potential to affect us down the road if we don't keep our eyes on them.
Mhm.
I wanted to point out the importance as homeschool dads and as homeschoolers in general to know what the HSLDA is. Have you heard of that organization?
Yeah, we are signed up card carrying members of
Nice.
HSLDA. Yeah.
Nice. You might have just surpassed my knowledge on it then. That's great.
That's as much as I know.
Oh, okay,
I
good.
talked to the guy a while back at a conference. And we're
Okay,
like, yeah,
yeah.
we need that.
Well, it's something I'm definitely looking more into. I think this year in my life, I have gotten way more involved in government in general and understanding how this world works and how I fit into it. It's sad it's taken me almost half my life to get there, but at least I'm here and not still ignorant and ignoring everything around me.
Yeah.
But I mention all this because that kind of change has the potential to drastically affect how we homeschool.
Hmm.
We have in Missouri, we are very blessed to have very loose laws governing our homeschool journeys. They still
Hmm.
have requirements, you know. And I agree with a certain amount of requirements to make sure some parents who there's always a bad apple out there that ruins it for everybody.
Right.
Don't just sit there and play video games all day and not teach the kids, or sit there and watch TV all day and not teach the kids, and the kids have no idea what's going on and they're just at home. That happens, unfortunately, and that's the black sheep in the room with homeschooling that people kind of default to, like, your kids aren't going to be as well educated as ours because they're not in public school. It's like, actually, statistically we are, but
Yeah.
let's not get into that. Anywho, point being, there's some changes coming. There was a lot more federal regulations. Now it's coming back to the state. What that looks like, we don't know yet.
Right.
So I guess keep your ears out there and get more involved. Maybe log on to the hsdla.org website. I'm reading it over here because I can't remember that.
Yeah.
and make sure you're informed at least. Join some communities on Facebook or X or wherever your platform of choice is, and make sure you are informed and in the know, because the worst thing that can happen is you have an opportunity to make a difference by speaking up or being part of something, and it passes by
Mhm.
and you get screwed, and now you can't homeschool. That would be terrible. And I have
Right.
no doubt that some states in the United States will go down that path. You know, it's just
Mhm.
their nature, I guess. But that's why we don't live in those states.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all, you have to make the decision of what's going to be the best for your child, your student, and being aware of what's going on in your immediate community is part of that decision making process. And so, yeah, being up on what's happening. So, yeah, we try to pay attention to changes that might be coming. It seems like there could be some shakeups over the next year or two,
Hmm.
and you see a lot of people talking. I'll be just trying to pay attention to the action that actually happens uh, after the talking. So,
Yeah, and I'm not saying run out there with their heads on fire, chickens with heads cut off, saying it's all going to be over. But it's good to be aware and not ignorant. So research it up and stay in the know.
yeah, exactly. What's the best place? Do you have places you go to check for those most updates?
You know, you're gonna laugh at me when I say this. My best source of news lately has been X
Yeah,
or Truth Social. Just solely because I have no merit in mainstream media anymore. I don't believe it serves us. I might hit one of those sites up just to get a funny headline, but it's usually referenced in a different podcast I listen to or on X,
yeah,
and they're making fun of them. But honestly, I I get a lot of my research from there nowadays. It's
yeah,
it feels like it's more accurate.
yeah, yeah.
Do you have a source of information you go to?
I find the most truthful to be the Babylon Bee. Uh,
I love those guys. Those guys deserve every award.
yeah, no, I mean, I've got some Telegram channels that I follow, some YouTube people. I try to actually read and listen to both sides
Hmm.
of our national conversation, um, and be able to decipher, pit them against each other in my brain, and actually pay attention to what both sides are saying. So,
And how different is it nowadays compared to, let's just go back 20 years, right? If you can remember back that far.
right,
Um, but 20 years ago, we didn't have a president or a- anybody really picking up a phone and texting their thoughts on a daily basis to the masses. Like,
yeah,
or I mean, and that's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because sometimes you get some whack jobs who have that ability, and it really makes things weird.
yeah,
But we have a deeper insight, I think, into some of the. My light is like going on and off. It's kind of weird. If you saw that, we have deeper insights into things that are going on in our government that we never saw before, and some people are shocked. Some people are, yep, no, that's been happening for years, and other people are like denial. So it's a different time we live in now.
I mean, it's something that I mentioned briefly last week. Um, the hunger for authenticity is something I feel is really ramping up, and people are realizing that need for. I don't just want to know your version or your story of what's going on. I want the authentic, like what's the truth, what's the actual fact.
Hmm.
And yeah, 25 years ago, or year 2000, internet was still in its infancy. You could find some things online, but everything was still just whatever the TV told you and whatever your newspaper
Hmm.
said, whether
Yeah.
they were truthful or not. I mean, I'm sure that was a case by case, region by region, town by town situation, but that's how you knew what was going on in the world. And the internet has opened up so many avenues for good and for bad, getting misled by things that are not true. And now we've got all the fact checkers and whatnot and all that. But if you come at it with a discerning eye, and discernment is a skill that I think needs to be intentionally practiced and
Mm-hmm.
sought after,
Taught to your kids.
taught to your kids. But taking that critical eye and discernment, and then seeking out the authentic, and then you can have a better grasp of what is going on in your immediate community and globally, internationally. And that's something we all have to mindfully approach, and not just blindly whatever the little black box in my hand is telling me.
Yeah, and that's something I brought up last week. Actually, our family watches World Watch News
Okay.
every. I want to say every day at lunch, but I can't remember if that's the case. I think it's Monday through Friday at lunch.
Uh,
um, but yeah, that's a great source of. It feels to us impartial, and it's not the stories of the second. It's around the world stories, things that are affecting the world in other countries that people don't report on every day. So it's interesting. Hence the name World Watch News.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, there's my light again. Man, that's weird. It's just
Like
blinking on and off.
having a rave over
Yeah, it's
there.
like.
Get you some glow sticks.
Okay, so we talked about that. We have a convention. Actually, two things. Um, my family recently signed up for a homeschool day at the Capitol. That's coming up.
Send me a link for that. I
I
didn't know.
will. I actually, maybe I should have looked this up before I mentioned this because I have to get the date right here. Hang on. It's in. Nope. Oh, I have no idea. Shoot. Okay, I will get that date. I think it's coming up just around the corner. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay. State Capitol tour. It's on Tuesday, March 4th, uh,
Oh,
of this year.
oh, it's a Tuesday. I can't.
Tuesday. You can't. So Tuesdays you can't leave your house. Is that how they're?
That's my co-op day that I'm teaching.
Well, we'll have to
Seventh.
take your co-op to the Capitol
Ooh, field trip.
field trip.
Uh huh.
But yeah, there's a homeschool day at the Capitol. Was going Jeff City, Missouri. We have a tour scheduled, and then there's some kind of man. I really should have read this more before I started talking about it, but it just popped in my head right before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tour and there's a whole thing there. So it's homeschool centric and it's a state capital tour. So it's fun. We're gonna learn about the state of Missouri.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
That's
great.
great. And this is one of those things that, if you are new at homeschool and you're, racking your brain of like, "Oh, what are we going to teach?" Find things like this. Like, how close are you to your state capital? Is there anything in your county or town that's interesting, historical significance? Like, chase that stuff down.
You know what I learned, and this is gonna be sad for me to say. Um, I didn't know how
Right.
close I was to our state capital. Like I always envisioned it was at least 3 hours away. I don't know why I thought that number. I looked up on Google and it was like an hour 26 minutes. I'm like, wow, that's really close. Like,
Yeah, it's not bad at
huh,
all.
that's not bad at all. That's a bad
Yeah.
day in traffic for work.
Uh huh. Yeah.
Huh. Before I had to go into the office, which I do every now and then, but I'm at home, so it's good. Let's see. The other thing coming up is Teach Them Diligently 2025. Now, if you guys have not ever heard of Teach Them Diligently, you should. If your wife has never been
You
to Teach Them
have now.
Diligently, you have now, yeah. Uh, if your wife's never been there and you guys homeschool, you guys need to go to at least one with an open mind. It's it's great. It is a Christian centric home event, so they do a little bit of worship over there as well, which is great. I love it. But it's a great resource for homeschool families to attend. It's a 3-day event. Let me pull it up here. They have several different locations. The one near me is in Branson. You know the other locations off the top of your head?
Believe Pigeon Forge.
Pigeon Forge, and then we have what's the other one? The other one is Dayton, Ohio.
That's right.
So they have Dayton, Ohio, March 20th through 22nd. They have Pigeon Forge, May 8th through the 10th. and they have Branson the 15th through the 17th. Oh, and
Yep.
there's more. Sorry. There's Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, which is
Uh,
31st through the 2nd, and
that's
that's as
new
far as
for
the
them.
list goes. Yeah, so they're expanding. They when we first started going, they only had, I think, one location, maybe two.
Yeah, it was
That
two.
was
Yeah, when we first were getting involved with them.
yeah.
So
We started with them, and they were in Tennessee. Where was it in Tennessee? I can't remember. It was someplace, but we were at the Gaylord Opryland Resort. That was
oh, that's a fun
awesome.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we that was my favorite place to go because it was just, you know, I felt like I was treating myself. We had the internal little rainforest thing with the nice
yeah,
steak dinners. We went to a nice steak restaurant was inside there, and it was just really fun. It was nice to get away from. We didn't take the kids with us, and my sister watched the kids at home, so we were able to have a nice little date weekend away or something. And up
yeah.
until this year coming up, we have never taken our kids to this. We are taking our kids with us on a 2025 Branson trip, and I'm
You helped convince me
excited.
to
Yeah,
bring
it's
your
your
kids
fault actually, because you
here.
show up.
It is.
I met you at this
Yeah.
last one, and you had your kids
Yep.
with you, and they're having a good time. And my wife and I looked at each other, and we're like, "Yeah, our kids will probably have fun too." And
Yeah.
that was the end of Dad's vacation with Mom.
Yeah. So they
Ever
do.
again.
They do. I'm sorry.
Ever
They
again.
do. They have a great program for younger kids. Go and do it's, for lack of a better way of explaining, it's almost like a VBS.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's probably too cheesy of an explanation, uh, depending on your experience with VBS. But it's a great program for kids. And then the teenagers have a separate thing where they bring in some leaders from, I forget which college, but a bunch of college students come and spend the week or the weekend with the teenagers, and it's almost kind of like a weekend retreat kind
Hmm.
of thing where they do songs and games, and they
A
have a
play
speaker up
too,
there.
right?
Yeah, and they put together like a little production. I think it was a small, just kind of goofy, fun
Yeah.
thing, but it's like summer camp type activities, and our kids both loved those things. So it's an opportunity for mom and dad then can focus,
Hmm.
if you decide to opt in to have your kids A there with you, and then B, if you put them in these programs, you still can have those chances to go into the all the different things. We've gone to a few different homeschool gatherings, conferences over the years. This one has been our favorite, where we've found some of the other ones. There is the value for this, and especially if you're new and trying to sift through how to homeschool. Some of the other conferences we've been to, a lot of the courses, the breakout sessions are how to do curriculum
Hmm.
this subject, how to do curriculum this subject, and those are great. We find Teach Them Diligently has those components are there, but the breakout sessions we've gone to, it's our experience has been we're going to pour into you to help basically disciple and help you grow as a parent, because we
Hmm.
realize the education your children are going to receive is only going to be as good as the lead learner in the home, which is you. And if we can pour into you and help equip you, help you heal something you're being challenged with, you're going to be a better educator in your home. And man, it's been just such a feeding opportunity for us whenever we've gotten to be at Teach Them Diligently. Can't recommend it highly enough. We love it. And yeah, Branson 2025.
Woohoo! We already got our condo. We did a VRBO or whatever it's called, and I think we're in the same complex you guys are at.
You
So it's
guys
gonna be.
hopped it, yeah. So we'll have to cook some meals or something
Oh
together.
yeah, I'm
Keep
excited. 'Cause we usually
steak.
just get a
We'll do that
hotel.
steak you were talking about.
Steak, yeah. We we usually just do like a hotel and that's it. But this time we have a full kitchen inside of our place, so I'm actually looking forward to getting the ingredients for like pancakes and eggs and bacon and sausage, and every morning cooking something for the family. It's just gonna be fun
Yeah,
or terrible. That's two
right.
options. It's gonna be a disaster or it's gonna be great. It's
Or
just because it's the first time taking kids anywhere. And we got four, so going any road trip with our family, it's always an adventure in the hotel room because I don't know if you know this or not, but most hotel rooms aren't suited for 6 people. Yeah, so it's always fun. Um, we mentioned the speakers there, and he's right. The sessions range from like how to manage your stress as a homeschool parent, how to plan your curriculum, what curriculum's best, what history curriculum to pick, and they go in depth on several different kinds, and they go walk you through it.
Yep.
I went to an awesome one last year, and it was cinema and homeschooling and history. So this guy went through all these like war and films, and I have a notebook still full of movies I'm going to watch still. I'm going through. I'm slow at this one because I have other priorities right now, but I have a list of like Civil War movies I never even heard of. I'm gonna have to watch. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. And then they have a lot of motivational type things like keeping you going because some people come there like on their wits end, like ragged, like I don't think I can do this another year, and
Yeah.
this really helps them figure out their curriculums, figure out a new strategy, gives them hope. It's like I said, it's biblical backed, so a lot of praying for people. And there's a T-shirt company there that we always enjoy. It's a little small a thing that they always do. They're always there. I can't remember what their name is, but whenever you buy from them, they'll sit there and pray over you with their product. You know,
Mm.
you purchase it and they pray over you. And they ask you about you, and they're very personable. That's a pretty cool experience. Um, their shirts always seem to shrink in the wash on me. I'm not sure why. It's just like belly shirts after the first day.
Oh no.
But it's I'm sure it's not their product. My wife keeps on telling me it's you, it's not their shirt.
That's those all those pancake breakfasts.
Yeah, it's probably the steak and eggs.
Which, speaking of, there is a men's breakfast on one of the
Yes.
mornings that I got to go to that last year, and it was just men get together, pray over each other, and encourage each other, just like we are trying to do here on our podcast. Encourage dads to be involved. You can do this. You may not feel like you're an expert educator. You don't have to be,
Mm-mm.
but be
Nope.
involved. And this is the men's breakfast. It's a great time to have some really good food. But pray together and encourage each other. So if you wind up at Teach Them Diligently at any of their locations, all you dads out there, jump in, meet some other dads, rub elbows, encourage each other.
You
Make
won't
yourself
regret it.
better.
You won't regret
No,
it. It's
absolutely
always a
not.
good experience. And they have speakers like good name speakers too. Like this year coming up, Ken Ham, Dr. Jeff Myers, Heidi St. John, Ginger Hubbard. Like they're kind of most of them are standards. They're almost there every year. It's great to see them. Todd Wilson, a bunch of other people, Kathleen Cook. Yeah, so a lot of good people. The whole list I'm not going to scroll through and read, but it's great people to really not only listen to, but also they have a vendor hall, and most of these people have booths, and you can go down there and rub elbows with them, like you just said. It's you can really get involved. You can exchange numbers, be awkward with them if you want to. You know, ask them for their personal phone number, see if they give it to you, and then you can stay in touch all year long and bug them. Hey,
And especially any of you who maybe somehow stumbled upon us and you're new at this and you're trying to figure it out, go to one of these, whether it's Teach Them Diligently or someone else, and you're like, I don't know where to start finding curriculum.
yes,
Any of these conferences, find one that you can get to in your area. There's lots of different organizations that do conferences. They pop up all over the country. Go to the expo hall. There's so much curriculum that you can ask questions. And our experience has been, even if we don't land on someone specifically, when we're talking to them at their booth, like they love to brainstorm and talk about, okay, what is your family into, and helping brainstorm what's going to work for you. Because
hmm
every home is set up different, and that's where we've had the most success in figuring out what we're going to do is going to these expo halls and shopping up and down the aisles, shopping in a sense of, well, we're going to pick this one, we like them, and there's just so many options to get to talk to and look at. It's great.
I mean, you're gonna have like 3 or 4 or more online art curriculums sitting in that location, like, and you go there and they have like demo booths. You can see their curriculum. You can open it up.
How we found creating a masterpiece. That since
Yes,
I finally remembered who that was.
and they have like the music curriculums. You have like uh, I know. I always see every year there's like violins hanging off of a stand on one of the exhibit booths, and it's a music curriculum for online learning to play an instrument. They have different groups that show there that what's that one? Not the Boy Scouts, but the Trail Life. Trail Life
Uh-huh.
usually has a big setup there, and they're trying to promote trail life in your area. Which I also recommend if you want to get out there as a dad with your son, if you have a son. Trail life is excellent. It's the better option in my opinion than Boy Scouts. It's Christian focused at the core. Its message is being one with the environment around you because we're stewards of God's creation, and they have really good messages and really strengthen the bond of father and son, in what you do
Yep.
in the pitch. Anyways, the a lot of different booths and stuff you can go around and find whatever you're looking for, technology based, outdoorsy based. We bought a science kit. You can buy like the frogs and the entire what are they called when you take it apart? I can't remember. The dissection kits.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like they have all those kits there. They have resources like a little telescope, a little microscope, all those things. Rock samples to learn about rocks.
Yeah.
Entire science kits. So yeah, highly recommended. Don't miss out. Please go. And if you see
Yeah.
us there, I'm. I didn't tell Jimmy this yet, but I fully plan to have dad schooled paraphernalia for
Uh,
every single day we're there,
yeah.
and I'm just gonna walk around like a big billboard. So if you see me walking around, come up and say hi. If you see a goofy guy wearing stuff and you never even heard of this podcast and you're just now hearing it after you saw me there, that's why you saw me there because I had that on.
Just
So
look for the big billboard.
big billboard. Yep. All right. Do we have anything else on that?
No,
I
no.
think I
I'm looking
think we're
for.
at the end of our show then. That's it.
Yeah, I think we did good. I think we covered a
Yeah.
lot.
Except for the ending part, we did great. But yeah, that's gonna be a fun teaching diligently. It's gonna be. We talked about school in winter, so we covered all the things you can do in winter. Not all the things. We touched on all that stuff. And we. What's our topic next week? We don't even have a topic that we're gonna announce yet, do we? It's gonna be a mystery.
Probably
Homeschool. Okay,
dads.
dads in homeschool.
Yeah, probably.
That's good. All right. Well, then until next time. See ya.